Unfortunately, we know still very little about population change in Idaho. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to take you back to 2019. In 2019, I attended a conference from the Idaho Smart Growth people. And there was a person there who had been in Boise and had seen Boise, and Boise had changed dramatically. He said, this place is completely different from what it was 5 years ago. And he said, Idaho is changing very quickly, and if you don't pay attention, all this stuff that you guys like so much will be gone before you blink your eyes. And that really made me think, right? And he was right. By 2019, 2012, I came in. It looked completely different, Boise. It had changed. Idaho had been discovered. People wanted to be in Idaho. Companies wanted to be to Idaho. Now, I have a background in planning. So, which means that I try to help communities make informed decisions about the future. And after reading through all the local comprehensive plan, talking with local planners, I quickly realized that communities know hardly anything about changes that are coming to them and the changes that are impacting them. So they simply react to whatever happens. So I started looking at how can I help small and rural communities, because I really thought that was where the biggest problem was. Better understand where the growth and all the outright pressures that they are facing are coming from. Now, initially, the main focus of this research was to simply get a better understanding of demographic changes. Who is moving to Idaho? Who is leaving Idaho? What does it mean for roads? What does it mean for schools, jobs, local businesses? What does it mean for real estate prices? Now, they are simple questions, right? But they're really hard to answer because the population data that we have is typically several years behind. And especially in rural areas, it's of extremely poor quality. We really don't know. So we decided to use driver's license data from the Idaho Department of Transportation that is collected monthly. And it basically, if you come to Idaho, you have to surrender your old driver's license and you get an Idaho one. Vice versa if you move somewhere else. They now send that to me. Every 3 months, I can tell you exactly what happened in the last 3 months and who moved, okay? Guess what we found? Idaho is changing much faster than it's growing. Idaho grew between 2010 and 2020 with about 275,000 people. But we had about 300,000 people leave Idaho in that same period. So that means that 1 out of 3 people that live currently in Idaho did not live here 10 years ago. That's big, right? It also showed that, in contrary to popular belief, it's not just older people that are moving to Idaho. It is actually the largest group are young families. Very different from what most people assume. Now, as a planner, I don't care about the past. I want to make predictions about the future. Kind of like what you were doing, right? And with my students, we have been trying to figure out what are other ways that we can actually predict this better and earlier so that we can help communities even more. We think we found an interesting one. And that is looking at changes in land ownership patterns. And guess what? It might be a better predictor. So let me look here. Here's a map. On the bottom, sorry, I'm from Boise. All right, here's Boise, Eagle, 55, which goes to McCall, and then there's this little place called Avamore. Right. Everybody familiar with this? All right. Looks like there is a lot of open space. Beautiful foothills. Now look at that. That is owned by 5 large out-of-state landowners. They have acquired about 26,000 acres. If you don't know, that's 6 times the size of Moscow. Now, I have a hunch that they did not do that because of the fuse. So what we're currently looking at is, are there other indicators that we can use before this happens? So how do these big landowners or these big interests decide to buy all that land? How can we get ahead of the game? How can we really help Idaho's communities prepare for the future? and I'm open to suggestions. Thank you.